Good evening. We begin tonight with a search for answers about a multi-billion-dollar provincial government fund.
And concerns it may have sent hundreds of millions of dollars to the friends of the governing PC party. Weeks into our reporting, government secrecy is still preventing us from getting a full picture. CTV's John Woodward joins us now. And John, you took this to the minister himself.
We sure did, Zoraida. We have found out a lot about the Skills Development Fund, but there is so much left to know, and that is not for a lack of asking. So we caught up with the Labour Minister, David Piccini, here in Brampton at an industry safety group speech he was making, and asked him about what is amounting to an enormous sum of taxpayer dollars.
Minister Piccini, it's John Woodward from CTV News. We wanted to talk to you about the Skills Development Fund and the allegations that you have given millions of dollars to what appear to be your friends.
Look, we're in the business of training, investing in life-changing and saving training, and that's what we're doing.
That was the start of our questions to Ontario Labour Minister David Piccini Thursday morning. The subject, the province's $2.5 billion Skills Development Fund, and where that money went and why. We've reported on millions to businesses who are also PC party donors. The Auditor General finding political staff overruled bureaucrats and who got nearly $750 million.
Not fair, transparent, or accountable.
Piccini told News 1010 last week he intervened to get a grant to a company. He was photographed with the director of that company in rinkside Maple Leaf seats.
Something doesn't smell right about that.
The NDP complaining that he attended a wedding in Paris for a lobbyist for that same company after it got $7.5 million.
These are millions of dollars going to people you're socializing with.
Look, there's a public registry that's there.
A public registry that shows millions of dollars going to the people you're going to weddings in Paris with?
Look, my personal business, I have a personal life. We all, in our personal life, make friends through our profession, through our work.
Using the lobbyist registry, CTV News tracked about $80 million of these grants that went through one firm, run by Doug Ford's former campaign manager. CTV News has tracked some $100 million in grants that went to unions or industry groups that endorsed the PCs in the last election.
Is this about a political way of greasing the wheels?
Well, I think it's, a bit ironic that in the past people criticized PCs about not having the support of Labour, and now that we do, trying to find any reason. But the bottom line is, and the truth is, that when we're supporting unions on the job site, we're supporting programs all over Ontario that are giving people real skills.
One of those unions, LaUNA, telling CTV News in a statement, LaUNA's endorsement was not transactional. To suggest otherwise is nothing more than a smear campaign. They got at least $27 million. Many listed grants have no attached dollar figure.
We don't have a picture of where the money went, of what grant went to whom. Why the secrecy?
The Skills Development Fund is changing lives, and the Premier, myself,
but why do that
our
in
entire
secrecy?
government
Why do that?
Have gone.
Why do that in secrecy? Why not be public about where the money is going?
I've been at almost every recipient to see the life-changing training that's gone on.
After that, his staff intervened, and our interview was over. So you've heard our questions and his answers. There was so much more. We're going to put the entire 7-minute exchange on our website so you can watch the whole thing and make your own judgment. As for the ministry, they're standing by the effects of this Skills Development Fund and the 100,000 jobs they say it's helped people get. Reporting live from Brampton, I'm John Woodward. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Still ahead tonight, the Prime Minister was in town today unveiling a series of measures meant to tackle some of Canada's biggest crime issues, from bail reform to organized retail theft. We'll break down the announcement in just a few minutes.
But first, Jays fans are hoping the tide has turned in the ALCS after a blowout win by the team in Seattle last night.
The Blue Jays are still down 2-1 in the series, but hoping to tie it up tonight. CTV's Rahim Ladhani is live on the field at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Rahim, high expectations for the team tonight after last night's big win.
Hey, Nathan, no doubt about that. What a difference 24 hours makes. Yesterday, the Blue Jays were playing for survival. Today, they're playing to get even. They want to get even in the series with the Mariners to tie it 2-2. They want to get even on home field, and they want to gain even more momentum. Right now, behind me, the Seattle Mariners are taking batting practice. And if we come over here, you can see a lot of the Toronto Blue Jays. They are now stretching out, doing some outfield work. And if you go even further left, you can see a lot of Blue Jays fans. They've now come down as they've opened the gates. They are looking for another awesome offensive explosion that the Blue Jays put on yesterday. It was really an incredible performance. The Jays had 5 home runs, 18 hits. That matched a playoff franchise record, which was set back in 1993, and we all know what happened that year. Now, after Game 2, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. said, one game at a time. That needs to be the mindset for the Toronto Blue Jays if they're going to have another repeat of success tonight. In Seattle here, the tide is kind of shifting in terms of the mood. I wouldn't say Mariners fans are panicking by any means, but they're certainly more serious because they know go Jays go. There we go. See, a lot of Jays fans here. And if you notice this, check this out, because they're feeling a lot better. They're feeling a lot better than they were yesterday before the game. While yesterday there was a lot of nerves and anxiousness, today it's all screams because everyone's happy after what they saw yesterday. We're seeing fans from Alberta, Victoria, people coming down here for Game 4 that were not here in Game 3 after what they saw yesterday. Have a listen to some of the fans we've been chatting with.
Yeah, coming from Victoria, BC. I'm feeling great after last night. I was a bit scared for a sec there, but now the momentum's back in our favor, and I think we'll go far here.
It's super special. A lot of Jays fan. It's pretty cool seeing "O Canada" louder than the American anthem. So hopefully it's the same tonight, and hopefully we bring the noise for the boys.
I'm from Manitoba, Winkler, Manitoba. Moved here in 2012, Seattle. So I'm a Blue Jay fan, but I go to all the Mariner games. I want to see a World Series, so I've kind of jumped ship for a series, so don't hate me.
So what happens, though, if the Jays end up coming back to win this series?
I got a Blue Jays shirt that's coming off, and we're going Blue Jays, baby.
Now, Max Scherzer is on the mound for the Blue Jays tonight, the 41-year-old veteran. He has the pedigree, 2 World Series championships, 3 Cy Young Awards, but he hasn't been great as of late. He hasn't pitched in nearly a month. When he spoke to the media, he told us that he wants the ball in this moment. This is what he plays for. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs. The roof right now at T-Mobile Park is open. However, just in the within couple minutes, we've started to feel a few raindrops. So it'll be interesting to see, do they close the roof, or is this short system that passes? We'll find out soon enough, and the first pitch is just a few hours away. Reporting live in Seattle, Rahim Ladhani. Sarita, back to you.
All right, thank you, Rahim. So hopefully the rain stays away for the Jays tonight. Here's a live look right now at the Toronto skyline. A beautiful day today, lots of sunshine. You may need a jacket, though, if you're heading out tonight. Lindsay Morrison joining us now with a look at our current conditions. Yeah, it's going to be an 8:38 first pitch, so definitely a light jacket for this evening.
Oh, definitely. And we're keeping an eye on the weather in Seattle, Zoraida. It's interesting. I don't see too much in the way of rain right now, maybe just a couple of sprinkles, but an increase in cloud cover is expected through the night tonight. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see if they close that roof or not. There's your first pitch forecast, mix of sun and cloud, and again, cloud cover increasing as the night goes on. Satellite and radar, all is clear right now here in southern Ontario. It's been a pretty lovely day. We had glorious sunshine. It's still 13 degrees right now. We climbed into the mid-teens today. We do have winds out of the north. They will ease. Here's your evening at a glance. But coming up, we're going to talk about the risk of frost again tonight, and then the chance of showers for tomorrow. For now, Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. We have a developing story in Oshawa tonight. The CTV News chopper was over Simcoe Street South and McGregor Street just after 5:30 tonight. Durham Regional Police say they responded to that location for an unknown trouble call. Once there, police say they located a man who police say had obvious signs of trauma. That man has since been pronounced dead. At this point, police aren't releasing any more information. We'll bring you the latest as it becomes available.
We want to warn you now, some video in this next story may be disturbing to some viewers. The trial of a man accused in 2 random shootings back in 2022 got underway this week.
Richard Jonathan Edwin was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. His lawyers argue Edward is not criminally responsible. CTV's Sean Leathong reports.
2 innocent men ambushed in broad daylight, 2 separate random shootings just 48 hours apart. Richard Jonathan Edwin is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Over the first 3 days of his trial, the Crown showed footage from several surveillance cameras around the city capturing Edward's actions and each of the shootings. According to the agreed statement of facts, the first occurring on April 7, 2022. It's when Edward approached and shot 21-year-old Kartik Vasudev near the Sherbourne subway station just before 5 p.m. Many people in the area heard the shots and called 911. Vasudev suffered multiple gunshot wounds and died of his injuries. Just 2 days later, on April 9th, according to the agreed statement of facts, 35-year-old Elijah Elazar Mahapath was gunned down while walking along Dundas near Sherbourne just before 7 p.m. At the time, police were clear that the two victims did not know the shooter and no interaction with the shooter had taken place prior to the killings. Police were able to quickly identify Edward and upon his arrest found multiple firearms in his possession. Richard Jonathan Edwin was arrested days later, his lawyers arguing that Edward is not criminally responsible as Edward was diagnosed with schizophrenia back in 2010. The trial will continue on October 23rd. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
The Prime Minister was in the city today, set to meet with the Premier late this afternoon.
But before he did that, Mark Carney unveiled proposed legislation aimed at tackling crime issues, including bail reform. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
The federal government says a crackdown on repeat violent offenders is coming.
It will no longer be up to the Crown to prove why someone should stay behind bars. It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says next week the Liberals will introduce long-awaited bail reform legislation to keep those accused of serious crimes out of the community. The new bill will also amend the criminal code to allow consecutive sentencing for those convicted of multiple crimes, end conditional sentences for a series of sexual offenses, and impose tougher penalties for organized retail thefts. These amendments are aimed at addressing headline-making crimes, including the surge in some cities of brazen smash-and-grab robberies. But they're getting mixed reviews from criminal defense lawyers.
And I think it's a measured approach. But at the end of the day, they just send a message because it don't really change that much, I have to say. But it sends the message that there is public concern.
I think it may work to curb that type of behavior, but I also think it is a ton of lip service.
These measures come after concerted pressure from premiers, police forces, and opposition parties.
And yet Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing to reverse the Liberal laws that caused this chaos and carnage.
Today, Carney also announced a nearly $2 billion funding boost for the RCMP. Coming in the next budget, the money will go towards hiring 1,000 new officers, increasing the cadet recruitment allowance, and dedicating more personnel to probing financial crimes.
The devil is in the details. We're going to take a look at what comes out next week, but we're happy to see that we were listened to and some of the things we advocated for were included.
Carney is set to continue his pre-budget pre-positioning tomorrow. The Prime Minister has plans to make what he called an important announcement on border security. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
And as Rachel mentioned, the Prime Minister also announced today plans for new legislation to deal with a rise in organized retail robberies.
It's a crime on the rise in the city, province, and country. CTV's Allison Hurst has more.
Thieves smashed jewelry cases at a store in Upper Canada Mall yesterday evening.
Okay, he's going to make a break for it, boys.
York Regional Police tracked their getaway car and boxed them in.
Okay, Air 2, they have the vehicle contained. We've got runners.
Apprehending 4 of the 5 suspects.
We found that the jewelry store smash and grabs, particularly, well, I can only speak for York Region, kind of went quiet. And now we're starting to see, I mean, we had 2 at the same store last week in Vaughan, and then one in Newmarket last night.
A crime happening at stores right across the city, province, and country. Today, the Prime Minister announced plans to table a bill that will impose harsher penalties for organized retail theft.
No worker in a neighborhood convenience store should have to worry about being robbed by gangs or feeling that no one can intervene and no one will face justice.
This Scarborough jewelry store was targeted by thieves back in April. The store owners, their children, and a customer were all inside at the time.
We're still working on a little bit more repairs for the shop for further security and just a little bit of things that needs to be done. But we did open doors back in September.
She says while the legislation is good, the federal government needs to deal with the root cause of why these crimes are happening.
Everything's super expensive. And to be honest, a lot of people are struggling with their everyday needs. And until that is solved, I think crime is going to happen no matter what.
According to the CFIB, crime has made it hard for employers to hire staff.
Finally, Ottawa is taking action on a problem that's been growing very, very quickly among the retail community and in businesses more broadly.
More details on the legislation will come later, but public safety analysts suggest including some sort of directive to judges in relation to either a minimum or maximum penalty.
I think what needs to be done, and whether or not they can do it legislatively, is ensure that there's a minimum penalty, perhaps, for some of these really very high profile and publicly alarming crimes that are being committed.
As for that latest smash and grab, York Regional Police say the white Mercedes getaway car used was stolen from a Vaughan home yesterday morning in a home invasion. Police recovered about $100,000 worth of jewelry.
There is. Got him.
Allison Hurst, CTV News.
A summit was held at City Hall today to address school zone safety.
The focus was on speed cameras and the Ford government plan to ban them. CTV's John Musselman reports.
Mayor Olivia Chow, concerned parents, researchers from Sick Kids, and transportation safety experts all attended today's summit at City Hall. They came to discuss school zone safety as the Ford government gets ready to table legislation to get rid of speed cameras. Advocates and local politicians say the government is making a mistake.
Since 2024, 250 pedestrians and cyclists have died or have been seriously injured because we know that speed kills.
We know that car crashes are the ~1 source of injury-related death for children. So this is one of the tools that we have that can keep our most vulnerable Torontonians, Ontarians safe.
This is not a tax. People have a choice in the sense that if they break the law, they're paying a fine. To slow down is an easy thing. If you know that you're around a school, if you're in an area that has speed cameras, you slow down.
If you're traveling on a road that is a 40-kilometer-an-hour speed limit and someone was actually doing 50 or more, you now have an 85% chance that if they were to hit a pedestrian, that pedestrian would not survive.
Premier Doug Ford calls speed cameras a tax grab. He has said there are better ways to slow drivers down by using speed bumps, signage, and road restructuring. MPPs return to Queen's Park next week. Ford's government plans to table legislation to ban speed cameras during that first week. John Musselman, CTV News.
Canada Post says it will prioritize reliable and affordable mail delivery across the country as it moves ahead with major operational changes to cope with a worsening financial picture. On September 25th, Federal Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound gave the Crown Corporation 45 days to come up with a plan to get it back on track. He also approved changes to the Postal Service's mandate, including phasing out door-to-door delivery. Canada Post says it will ensure vital postal services for rural, remote, and Indigenous communities will be protected. It also pledged to be fair and respectful to employees as changes are rolled out. 55,000 unionized postal workers walked off the job in late September to protest the changes. Mail is moving again as they're now on a rotating strike. Well, days after car company Stellantis announced it's moving production from its Brampton plant to the U.S., we're getting more insight into the discussions between the federal government and the car company.
The Prime Minister says he received assurances that the Canadian plant will not be abandoned. Senior political correspondent Mike Lecouture is following the story from Ottawa.
They're looking at different model being produced in Brampton.
That assurance came in a phone call the Prime Minister had 2 days before the company announced it was moving $13 billion in investment to the U.S. Mark Carney also reminded the global CEO that Stellantis committed to maintaining its full Canadian footprint in Brampton in exchange for federal and provincial money.
We need to be strong in terms of making sure that companies that have done well by virtue of the various subsidies or initiatives that have been made meet their obligations.
It comes as Ontario's premier has implored the federal government to hit back on American trade policies that Doug Ford says pave the way for Stellantis to move production.
There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Prime Minister. That restraint could be tied to a bigger calculation on Canada-U.S. relations.
This is China versus the world.
The American Treasury Secretary is calling on Western allies like Canada to back the U.S. in the trade war with China.
We're going to have a fulsome group response to this because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
That comes after China's ambassador to Canada told CTV's Question Period that if Canada removes its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would remove tariffs on Canadian products like canola.
It's not that simple. Nor is the relationship in the auto sector that simple as just open a door here with China with no impact on the relationship with the United States and the impact on activity here in Canada.
In the middle of all this, plans are underway for Carney to meet with President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Mike Lecoulteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
In the Middle East, a National Remembrance Day ceremony was held in honor of those lost in the October 7th attack in Israel. The country's president offered an apology to the victims on behalf of the State of Israel. The ceremony in Jerusalem was also attended by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who vowed to bring more Israeli families to live in communities that were attacked by Hamas-led militants. They killed nearly 1,200 people and abducted 251 others. All living hostages have been returned from Gaza. 10 bodies have been returned so far.
The bodies of 120 Palestinians have been handed over by Israel since the ceasefire agreement. In exchange for the release of the hostages, Israel freed about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees Monday. Meanwhile, Gaza's Rafah crossing with Egypt will more than likely be reopened Sunday, according to Israel's foreign minister. The Israelis say they're making all the necessary preparations, but did not specify whether the crossing would be open for the passage of humanitarian aid or just for people. Israel approved 600 aid trucks to enter Gaza yesterday. The UN called the number a good base, but nowhere near enough.
The White House says U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin had a productive call today as Moscow's invasion of Ukraine continues.
The president feels like great progress was made on this call. They also agreed to have a high-level senior staff meeting convened as early as next week, which will then be followed by a meeting very likely between President Trump and President Putin as well.
Budapest was named as a potential meeting place. Trump posted on social media that he believes the deal he helped broker in the Middle East could provide momentum towards ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, arrived in Washington today ahead of meetings at the White House tomorrow.
A U.S. judge is ordering immigration officials to follow new rules as they carry out an ongoing crackdown in the Chicago area. The Trump administration ordered ICE to carry out enforcement operations in the third largest city in the U.S., which they say resulted in more than 1,000 arrests. There's also been a wave of demonstrations in opposition. Last week, U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis said immigration agents had to wear badges and weren't allowed to use certain riot control techniques against peaceful protesters and journalists. Today, she said she's concerned her order isn't being followed, and agents must wear body cameras and keep them turned on. The Justice Minister said it wouldn't be possible to immediately distribute those devices.
3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to.
And a bill aimed at ending a federal government shutdown south of the border failed once again today in the U.S. Senate. Republicans have a majority there, but Democrats have enough votes to block bills. They've said they want any funding bill to reverse looming cuts to health care. Republicans say the government needs to be open for any discussion to be had on that front. The White House has threatened more layoffs, even as some earlier ones were blocked by the courts.
2 attempts to remove France's new prime minister failed today.
289 pour l'adoption 271.
French lawmakers brought a pair of no-confidence votes in the new administration of PM Sébastien Lecornu. Macron had said that he might dissolve parliament if the deeply divided legislature kicked Lecornu out. France is in the midst of its worst political crisis in decades, as a succession of minority governments have struggled to get deficit-reducing budgets passed.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, it's something most of us need in our lives, a bank. But are you happy with yours? A new survey is out today, and some customers are not content with their bank, while others say they're very satisfied with how they're being treated. The results are just ahead.
So it's going to be a little chilly overnight tonight, forecasting a low near 3 degrees here in the city of Toronto. So not surprisingly, frost advisories remain in place. We've got the risk into the early hours tomorrow morning. Might be another day where the kids need some mittens and a toque heading off to school. Coming up, we're going to talk about a return to warmth for the weekend, but also some wet and windy weather. That's coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A new survey of Canada's banks shows there's a growing divide between Canada's big 5 banks and smaller, mid-sized institutions.
While many people are generally satisfied with their banking, there are growing concerns about excessive fees and a lack of customer service. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Zoraida and Nathan. J.D. Power has been doing this bank survey for the past 20 years, asking customers about trust, products and services, and resolving problems or complaints. Customer satisfaction with Canada's Big 5 slipped slightly this year, but improved with Canada's mid-sized banks. Canada's Big 5 banks dominate the financial landscape with more than 80% of all bank customers, but some smaller mid-sized banks are outperforming them when it comes to customer satisfaction. Many people say when it comes to their bank, they don't have too many complaints.
It's the one my parents had when I was a kid, so I still have it, and it's all right.
I've been with them for a while, and I really don't get anything for the loyalty.
I don't have to pay fees.
They're very helpful. I lost my debit card a couple months ago, and they helped me get it back and refill my bank account.
When it comes to the Big 5 Canadian banks, RBC was named #1 in customer satisfaction for the second year in a row.
We are seeing that RBC has the highest satisfaction among the Big 5 banks.
On a 1,000-point scale, RBC came in at 611 points, followed by CIBC, BMO, TD, and Scotiabank. Customer satisfaction declined 7 points with the Big 5 banks over the last year, but rose 5 points with mid-sized banks.
With the mid-sized banks, customer satisfaction is rising with things like online chat, email support, online banking, branch service.
When it comes to mid-sized banks, Tangerine was #1 with 683 points, followed by Simply Financial, National Bank of Canada, Desjardins, and ATB Financial. Tangerine Bank has been #1 in the survey for 14 consecutive years.
Tangerine does everything well that you would expect an online-only bank to do well. But they also do very well at telephone service and resolving problems.
The survey did find banks both big and small are doing a better job when it comes to problem resolution, but not when it comes to opening new accounts and the helpfulness of bank employees. The survey found 7% of customers switched banks last year due to poor service, high fees, or promotional offers from competing banks. And the survey found smaller banks seem to be doing a better job with customer service, whether it's online or on the phone. And even though big banks dominate the industry, it shows they could do more to try and keep their customers happy. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, to the forecast, a bit of a cool down tonight here. Hopefully not too cool in Seattle. And if it does get cool, the home run jacket can keep them warm.
There you go. And if they do score the home runs, the fans will be warm. They're not feeling the cold tonight.
Yeah, I think everyone's running on adrenaline right now, tonight, hopefully tomorrow night as well. Lots to look forward to, hopefully, when it comes to baseball, and something to look forward to when it comes to the weather as well. If you're already missing 20-degree warmth, don't worry, that will be back this weekend. But it looks like we could also get our first significant, dare I call it, a fall storm. Let's first show you what it looks like outside right now. It is sunset time right now, or a minute or two away. 6:33 is the sunset time for tonight. Look at that beautiful sky. We've had no clouds today. All is clear, but won't be for too much longer. So here's a disturbance that we're watching for tomorrow, but also into the weekend. So see this one here. The warm front associated with it is going to move through tomorrow. That's going to bring us an increase in cloud cover first, then the chance of showers. The cold front is going to swing through later this weekend. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. But there's around 8 a.m. tomorrow. Chance of showers beginning in the morning hours and again in the afternoon. You'll notice that many areas are going to have dry periods. It is by no means going to be a washout, but the chance of showers is there. Saturday, we're back into some dry weather and some sunshine. This pairs nicely with the forecast daytime high of 21 degrees. But then here comes the cold front. So Sunday, an unsettled day with widespread wet weather and some gusty winds as well. Might be a nice day to maybe curl up inside. Here's a look at our current temperature. 13 degrees in Toronto, 16 in Windsor, 12 degrees in places like Muskoka as well as Ottawa. We climbed into the mid-teens today. Overnight, though, we dropped to a low near 3 degrees. That's actually a degree or two cooler than it was overnight last night and this morning. Frost advisories remain in place around the GTA, West End specifically, and in through pockets of Niagara region. Tomorrow at a glance, so in addition to that chance of showers, we're also looking at an afternoon high of about 14 degrees. So that is a little bit cooler than what we experienced today. And again, you couple it with the cloud and the chance of wet weather, it's maybe not quite as pleasant or home run worthy as today's weather was. A beautiful fall day. 11 degrees tomorrow in Innisfil, 13 tomorrow for you in Ajax, and 13 in the Perth area, 14 for you in Cobourg. Here's your 7-day forecast. So there's that high of 21 degrees on Saturday. Get outside and enjoy the mix of sun and cloud. Sunday, windy with scattered showers or periods of rain. Temperature still going to be mild at about 18 degrees, but again, maybe less favorable for spending some time outside into the early part of next week. Monday looks not bad. As we venture through the middle of the week, though, temperatures are going to cool back down, and you'll notice that it looks to be a bit of an unsettled weather pattern with the chance of showers expected most days. That's your look at the forecast. Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, he spent decades fighting for the rights of musicians while writing and producing hit after hit. Now, Ian Thomas gets his flowers with the highest songwriter's honor.
Some 8 million Canadians live with chronic pain. New therapies are offering more options now for relief.
But many say stigma and lack of information are still issues they deal with. We get more from our health reporter, Pauline Chan.
It was a foot injury 11 years ago that started Aaron Adams' experiences with chronic pain, defined as pain lasting more than 3 months.
When that happens, the nervous system, there's changes to our nervous system.
Pain signals continue, often even after an injury has healed. For 13 months, Aaron's foot remained swollen until she was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome.
I've been to physio, been to chiro, been to massage therapy. I was an inpatient.
And while she appreciates everyone did their best to help, nothing brought relief until she saw Dr. Zamir Pirani 2 years ago.
Chronic pain is an epidemic. So 1 in 5 Canadians currently suffer with chronic pain. It's a silent disease.
And he says in seniors, the rate is more like 1 in 3 people, with the numbers growing as Canada's population ages. Aaron says stigma is also high.
It's very derogative because they think they can't see it, right? Well, you walk fine. I don't see you walking with a limp. What's wrong with it?
Pirani's clinics, one in Toronto and now one in Hamilton, offer a holistic approach to chronic pain management. They do procedures like the nerve-pulsed radio frequency treatment Aaron receives, where X-ray guided bursts of radio frequency disrupt rather than destroy the nerves. Medications are another important factor for patients, but equally important are other psychological therapies.
We know that cognitive behavioral therapy, psychological interventions, managing their depression, their anxiety, their loneliness, their isolation, these all have a massive magnitude of effect for patients suffering with chronic pain.
We do things like breath work and humming. And I mean, breathwork can really change the acidity of your blood dramatically. So by blowing off a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide, you make the blood more alkaline.
Dr. Monty Sawala says this change allows the nerves to essentially reboot. Their in-person supportive programs are covered by OHIP. The goal is not necessarily to eliminate 100% of the pain, but to educate the patient and reduce the pain so that they can go on to live a full life. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The family of Diane Keaton has confirmed the cause of the Oscar winner's death over the weekend. The 79-year-old's death was announced on Sunday, but no cause was mentioned at the time. Well, now in a statement to People magazine, Keaton's family says she died of pneumonia. They also say they are grateful for the outpouring of love and support they've received, quote, on behalf of their beloved Diane. The statement says any donation in her honor would be best directed to a local food bank or animal shelter.
Ian Thomas joins the class of 2025 as a member of the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame.
CTV's Andrea Case caught up with the 1974 Juno winner for Most Promising Male Vocalist of the Year, who turned out to be all that and more.
For 60 years, Ian Thomas has been making music in a way he never thought would happen. Not making a living, he quit his first band and got a full-time job producing music for artists including Oscar Peterson, while quietly working on a solo project on the side.
Had that first album not taken off, I probably would have had a very happy career producing music at CBC. I produced concerts with Gene Krupa, and God, I even produced Quincy Jones.
Thomas has also spent a career fighting for the rights of other musicians and was a former president of the Canadian Songwriters Association.
I guess you could say the music business was based on, I think, criminal elements at the beginning of it. And boy, I don't think you can get any more unhuman than unbridled capitalism. So did what I could in that window and made a lot of enemies for it. Nobody liked the boat being rocked.
All the while writing hit after hit, including Painted Ladies, Pilot, and Right Before Your Eyes.
To know that some of your music has been important to people, that somehow over the years I've inadvertently become sort of part of the soundtrack of some people's lives, that's just a really warm feeling. It's equally the same when somebody else covers one of your songs. And so the privilege there, of course, to my way of thinking, is that, wow, somebody has invested their career in your song. And, you know, there's a lot on the line there.
He will join the class of 2025 to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame on Friday at Meridian Arts Center. Andrea Case, CTV News.
We are live outside T-Mobile Park in Seattle as the Jays look to even up the series against the Mariners. We'll hear from Blue Jay manager John Schneider after the break.
Let's go back to CTV's Rahim Ladhani live in Seattle. Rahim, you're getting, I guess, a pulse of the city.
Hey Nathan, yeah, we've made our way outside of T-Mobile Park because I really want you to enjoy the atmosphere here. Seattle is an absolutely great city. Just across the street from us here, we have a live band. They've been playing hit after hit and getting people ready for the game hours before game time. And then if we swing on over here, you can see that people are starting to make their way into the park, getting ready. We're also seeing a lot more Jays jerseys today than we were yesterday. No animosity or anything. It really seems like a friendly rivalry more and more, but certainly a lot more Jays fans today than we did see yesterday. This is a pivotal game for the Toronto Blue Jays, and John Schneider addressed the media and talked about an injury the team is dealing with. Have a listen.
I think just the game in general did. You know, he's pretty stiff, sore after. Checked in with him this morning, you know, and still felt it. So wanted to hold off as long as we could. But just in talking to him and after getting some treatment, still felt like it wasn't the right thing to do to put him out there.
Do you anticipate a possibility of him being available for an at-bat off the bench?
We'll see, you know. Back is tough, you know what I mean? So we'll kind of see what he can or can't do in the next couple hours and go from there.
Now, if the injury to Anthony Santander is serious enough where he has to be removed from the Jays lineup and Major League Baseball approves that, that means he would not be eligible for the World Series, which means his playoffs would be over. Game 4 coming up very shortly. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladhani. Zarada, back to you.
Thank you, Rahim. Well, as we told you last night, the rules around how much banks can charge you for having insufficient funds is changing. As BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez reports, that could mean more than $500,000 in savings for Canadians.
The Credit Counseling Society says those charges add up to about $600 million in revenue for banks. That's because banks often charge customers up to $50 when they don't have enough money to cover costs. But the rules change in March. Those fees will be capped at $10, and banks won't be allowed to charge you if the shortfall is under $10. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down a fraction. It ended the day at 71.16. West Texas Intermediate also down to 57.48. Western Canadian Select down as well to 47.55. And the TSX dropped 178 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Canadian Real Estate Association has upgraded its forecast for home sales, now anticipating a softer decline than was originally forecast for the year. The association says September home sales rose 5.2% year over year, and that was the most activity for the month since 2021. The CREA now expects the number of residential properties sold in 2025 will drop 1.1% from 2024. It last projected a 3% drop in its July forecast. Here in Toronto, a new analysis shows housing affordability may have improved, but rental costs remain a major financial strain, especially for single households. Zoocasa said the average rent for a one-bedroom stands at around $2,300 a month. The real estate company then crunched the numbers based on the figure often cited by financial experts that housing should cost about a third of gross income. To comfortably afford a one-bedroom rental in Toronto, Zoocasa says tenants would need to make at least $86,000 annually or $44.13 an hour. Ontario's minimum wage was increased to $17.60 per hour October 1st.
The province says it's marked a major milestone in efforts to build faster transit between Toronto and Kitchener. The Ministry of Transportation announced an agreement in principle with CN Rail. It'll see the province buy land for dedicated GO train tracks along the Kitchener line. Right now, much of the infrastructure is shared with freight trains. Work on the new 40-kilometer stretch of track would include signal upgrades, bridge work, and platform expansions. Metrolinx didn't share a timeline for the project, but CEO Michael Lindsay says it builds on a major increase in weekly trips on the Kitchener line in recent years.
If you think about the Kitchener line in total, we've gone from 150 trips in 2018 to 414 trips on the Kitchener line since then, and that is a function of everything that we've been doing, not only here in region, but all the way back down to Union Station, to slowly but surely convert what was built 100 years ago as a freight rail network into something that can really sustain an enhanced passenger service.
In the meantime, there will be new trips added between Bramalea GO and Union Station, and 4 weekend trips will be extended to Kitchener GO. For the first time, Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria says the GO Transit network set a record of 7.42 million trips last month. Just ahead, transforming raw material into a creative masterpiece, we meet the makers of art, craft and design at a new Harbourfront Centre exhibit.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
We're following breaking news out of Scarborough this hour. A person is dead after a late afternoon stabbing near a plaza. Our CTV News chopper was over the scene near Eglinton and Falmouth Avenue, just north of the Danforth. Police cruisers could be seen in an alley behind the plaza. A victim was pronounced dead at the scene, and police say 2 suspects were arrested. Anyone with information is asked to contact police, and we'll have more on this tonight at 11:30. In a world dominated by automation, a new exhibit at the Harbourfront is exploring the relevance of crafting.
CTV's Jessica Smith has more on the Meet Your Maker showcase, shining a light on artists' work.
A unique initiative and exhibition at Toronto's Harbourfront Centre lets you explore the work of local artists throughout the creative process.
All of the work that you're going to find in the exhibition spaces has literally been made by the residents with their hands in the studios.
Meet Your Maker lets each artist in residence create and showcase their work all in one space.
So there's 28 artists in total, and they're working across different media like textiles, ceramics, glass, jewelry and metal.
It's free to access the works on display and watch the artists create in real time, like first-year artist Kayla Nowicki from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
It's super sweet because everybody here makes completely different things from one another, so it's really nice to see like their different ways of working and like learning from them.
And if you feel inspired, workshops are available.
We're making pumpkins. We're doing blow your own pumpkins. They're pretty fun to make. They get to make a little solid pumpkin, and then they graduate onto blowing a pumpkin as well.
With all the proceeds going directly back to the artists to help them continue creating and hosting workshops for the community.
Having this opportunity in this space to continue to create and blow glass and meet all the super cool people on this side of the country is pretty sweet.
For other artists interested in participating in the Meet Your Maker program, applications open in January 2026. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Okay, jackets for anyone heading out to watch the Jays game tonight, and maybe even some frost.
Yes, as we know, as soon as the sun sets, like it is right now, it gets a little bit colder. The temperature starts to fall. And yes, we do have that risk of frost overnight tonight, pretty much everywhere in southern Ontario. But these are the communities that are under the advisory issued by Environment Canada. A reminder, we often have our coolest temperature just before sunrise, which tomorrow will be around 7:30 a.m. Then we eventually climb to a high of around 14 degrees. That's near normal. It will be a day that starts off with sun. We'll get an increase in cloud cover, and then some spotty showers are expected on and off throughout the day. Here's your weekend forecast. Saturday brings some sun and some warmth, a high of 21 degrees. Enjoy that. Don't know how many more 20-degree days we're going to have. One more look at the 7-day forecast shows, yes, it's unsettled for Sunday and through much of next week. Zoraida and Nathan.
Thank you, Lindsay. And be sure to join Omar Sachinina tonight at 11 for CTV National News. I'll have your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you at 11:30.